What's up? Welcome to another edition of Wheel of Albums. This is Justin.
And I'm Adam.
And we're going to go ahead and do another episode, our final episode of Season 1. What we do is we spin a wheel of 1001 albums you must hear before you die. Adam, tell them what we got this episode.
This episode we have Southern Rock Opera by the Drive-By Truckers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when I spun the Drive-By Truckers, I'm familiar with the Drive-By Truckers in spots, and they've been at it for a long time. A fellow coworker handed me a copy of The Dirty South, the Drive-By Truckers, in 2004, and said, I think you're going to like this album. And I listened to it, and Patterson Hood, Mike Cooley, Jason Isbell, a perfect trifecta. Southern Rock Opera was recorded before Jason Isbell became part of the band. So I did buy a few more CDs at the time after this. Going backwards from the Dirty South, all I own is Pizza Deliverance. Southern Rock Opera, I was aware of it. I know it's a overly ambitious album dealing with Lynyrd Skynyrd in the South, but I've never listened to it front to back. What about you, Adam?
You know, my initial reaction for this one, excited. Always have been a big fan of the Drive-By Truckers, but when I realized that it was a double album with 20 songs, I thought, man, my work is cut out for me. I usually like these guys with songs sprinkled here and there, but a full-length rock opera sounded like a chore, but also had me intrigued.
Initially, I thought I've heard of the Drive-By Truckers, assumed they were alternative country. Looked up Southern Rock Opera as this big, ambitious project, a lot of accolades in the early 2000s, so I was kind of looking forward to it. There was a short-lived product called the Zune. I had one. Scotty Bryceland had one. This was the album Scott shared with me. Scott asked about it. I told him I listened to him. It was all right, but not my bag.
But you lied, Jack, didn't you?
But I never listened to it. We'll find out if my not listening was the correct answer.
So saying overly ambitious with the Southern Rock Opera is a understatement. This album is uber ambitious. I found this album was best reading lyrics as you went along, just like you would back in the day with a album or with a CD, the inlet, just taking a look at the lyrics. When I wasn't doing that, I kind of spaced out in some places, which I usually don't do with the Drive-By Truckers album. It might just be because of the amount of songs on here.
So as a history teacher, anytime a song can throw in a little nugget of history, I'm always a big fan. And boy, does Southern Rock Opera give us a huge Southern helping of artery-clogging butter, Paula Deen style when it comes to history-related topics. And songs like Birmingham, Ronnie and Neil, the song Wallace, where the devil is getting ready for George Wallace to come live, all are great.
When you were a kid, I think you did magazine drives or book drives or something to get a T-shirt or something from elementary school. And Sports Illustrated was a subscription. You had that. Out of nowhere in 1981, there's this big, and you look forward to it every week. There's this big close-up of some old guy, and it says Bear. He probably was accomplishing great things. It was just a big close-up of an old grandpa face. Stirred up my Bama awareness.
Southern Rock Opera. It's a double CD, album, however you want to look at it. It's divided into Act 1 and Act 2. Adam, let's do this quickly. What's your favorite part of Act 1?
I'm going to say the two songs that stick out the most to me from that side was Wallace, which has to be the funniest song on the album, with the idea of George Wallace going to hell and the devil and his boys getting ready for him.
If Neil and Ronnie Van Zant did a duet album that we don't know about where they harmonized on Rainbow Connection.
I really liked Ronnie and Neil. Neil and Ronnie didn't have a feud. Neil Young was a pallbearer at Ronnie's funeral.
I Googled, he was the honorary pallbearer at his funeral. No idea either.
All that Alabama, Sweet Home Alabama songs were written to show the two sides of Alabama. Mind blown. Didn't know that stuff. Very cool.
Let's break it down. So, Disc 1, Act 1. Favorite song or preferred song is Days of Graduation. And then it started getting a little rocky there at the beginning. Not bad. But then it kind of fell into that 1950s, some teenagers died on the prom night, graduation night.
Last kiss for Southerners.
And had that kind of feel to it too. So you knew you were about to be told a story. So it was a good way to open up a very long narrative record.
Act 1, I like Dead, Drunk, and Naked. I've been two of those things before. I enjoyed the Act 2 a little bit more. Act 1 had some good songs on there. We'll get to the 3 Alabama icons here in a minute. But Act 2, every time it started with Let There Be Rock, that would get me excited. Is Patterson Hood at his best, talking about never seeing Lynyrd Skynyrd, imagining being a kid. I love everything about Let There Be Rock. One of my favorite songs from season 1.
When is that song that comes up that says, I never saw Lynyrd Skynyrd, but I sure saw Molly Hatchet? And that line just kept coming back to me while listening to this one.
Plastic Flowers on the Highway. I just really like the way that Hood's sing-song approach to that song, and then the melody of that song, even though it's pretty much of a downer of a song, strings it together. I really just like that. Maybe if it were a little shorter, even be better. And then another Vinyl Countdown interruption. Sweet Lord.
My favorite of the two by far was Act 2. It is certainly the more rocking of the two acts, and it's what Drive-By Truckers does best, in my opinion. Or their slower stuff kind of bores me. Shut Up and Get on the Plane, one of my favorites. Life in the Factory was another good one. Really like Plastic Flowers on the Highway, and probably the best song on Act 2 is Let There Be Rock.
I never saw Lynyrd Skynyrd, but I sure saw AC/DC with Bon Scott singing Let There Be Rock.
We may be in a unique position from being from West Virginia that we get a lot of the same stereotypes and slings and arrows cast upon us for being from West Virginia that people from Alabama do or do not.
And that's why it's so great. Patterson Hood has laid out 3 great Alabama icons in Act 1.
Kind of gives you a great Southern viewpoint of the 3 biggest Alabama icons, which are Ronnie Van Zant, Bear Bryant, and George Wallace. But since we're from West Virginia, what are the 3 icons that stand out in your mind?
3 West Virginia icons. Let's do politician first, and I will go with A. James Manchin. Made an appearance on Real People. Soup Man, Soupy Sales, children's television host and all-around funny guy. Jerry West, too iconic to ignore. He can put the ball in the hoop. He can do the loop-de-loop.
I'll start with a song about Jay Rockefeller, former U.S. Senator, and a rare Democrat at that. And then why not the lovely, talented Jennifer Garner from Huntington, West Virginia. Still love Sidney Bristow. Then let's top it off with maybe a 1984 Olympic gymnast, Mary Lou Retton. Oh, man. It's 3 songs I'm ready to go pen on my Casio keyboard right now.
My 3 great West Virginia icons are none other than the great Senator Robert C. Byrd, Randy Moss. No one caught a football like Randy Moss. Coming from the halls of West Liberty State College in Wheeling, West Virginia, Brad Paisley.
Gentlemen, I think we have 9 songs to start off our own West Virginia opera.
And tastes like cigarettes in my mouth.
All right, when we take a look at the final ratings for Southern Rock Opera, Adam scored a 5.40, Jack a 4.70, and Justin a 6.75 for an average rating of 5.60. That's a tally of 1 to 10. Our top 3 songs, Let There Be Rock and Shut Up and Get on the Plane with 22s. Life in the Factory scored a 20. Lots of songs to choose from, and at the bottom of all of them was a song not penned by Hood or Cooley. That's Moves with a score of 9. All right, so is Southern Rock Opera an album you must hear before you die? I would say if there's something you should hear by the Drive-By Truckers, Decoration Day or The Dirty South, hats off Michael Petchaf for giving me that album back in 2004. They're definitely a band to check out. Southern Rock Opera is way too much to take in for me, though. The ambition for something great is there. I'm just more biased to the Isbell days with the Drive-By Truckers. Therefore, I'm going to have to say it is not something you need to hear before you die. Do check out some Drive-By Truckers because they are a great American rock band. Jack, what do you think?
It's a very ambitious record. The descriptions all seem to have glowing reviews. Sometimes when we get that, there's records you like, and then you see 20 years later for the anniversary, it's going to be an expanded edition with even extra tracks and cuts. And this is one where the expanded edition, maybe they do a unexpanded, an installment, if you will, of Southern Rock Opera, where they knock it down to maybe 12 songs total. You know, the educator, the narrator, keeps on telling me about the duality of the Southern thing. I get it. I got it on track 3. You do not have to listen to Southern Rock Opera by the Drive-By Truckers. Scott, I was right, and I didn't even read the book, and I got an A on the book report.
While the concept is great, it's a pretty long album. It's like an hour and a half long to get through. There's really no huge hits to keep the anticipation up on it. I think other Drive-By Trucker albums would give you more in a shorter amount of time about what they're all about. So with that, I'm going to say nope. Don't need to hear Southern Rock Opera before you die. And with that, I'm running out of here faster than Forrest Gump ran out of the stadium during a Crimson Tide football game. Run, Forrest, run.
Oh, Jenny.
The duality of the Southern thing.
Okay, well, that is going to cap off our first season of Wheel of Albums. What was just a little idea between me and Adam and Jack. We have enjoyed this quite a bit. And if you've been listening, we hope that you've enjoyed it too. Go back and discover everything from the first season, from Marilyn Manson through the Drive-By Truckers and everything in between. And if you really want to start where we start getting the flow, Little Richard is where to go. We are on YouTube and Spotify. I am going to look into getting to Apple Music and also Instagram in the future. Thanks to everybody who's listened, anyone who's commented, anyone who's given us a rating or subscribed. We appreciate it. We will be back with Season 2 on July 14th. A Season 1 recap in a week, and then we're going to take a much-needed vacation the week of July 7th. For Adam and Jack, I am Justin. Thank you for listening to Wheel of Albums.
And if there is a breakdown, Justin, Adam, if anybody could tell me, have we had more than 2 references to STDs? What's your favorite STD-related reference in one of the albums we've listened to this year? I appreciate you letting me participate with you, Howboys. It's really been a fun ride. I look forward to it continuing on.